All right, well, the Mets lose Pete Alonso to the Baltimore Orioles, 5 years, $155 million. Not seeing anywhere if the Mets were close to that or if they were involved in that. I'm not really sure what's going on right now. But are we in like rebuild? I mean, I was excited about the you know the off season here, and I thought the Mets were going to do a lot to improve the team. And honestly, so far they've done nothing but just not make any good moves and trade everyone away. And yeah, not exactly not exactly loving this right now. And honestly, we don't know what what the Mets offered. We heard all day that they were only looking to go 3 years. Um, Sorry, I don't even know if I'm streaming right now. Nothing is working. I can't see if anyone's watching. I can't see if there's a chat. I can't even find this live stream on my channel, so I'm not sure what is going on today. Nothing's working right. So, anyway, I don't know if anyone's watching right now because I can't see any information on it, but I'm just going to talk as if there are people watching. Hopefully, I can get this fixed here. Um, but there's no I can't figure out what the plan is right now. I just are they just rebuilding? Like that's what it really seems like. And if that's the case, I can almost get behind that. Like am I okay with rebuilding? Maybe that would be okay. Um, but I don't I think I wish I knew that that was what was happening. I think I wish that they would just come out and say that instead of saying, "Yeah, we're involved and we want to bring back Pete and we want to bring back Edwin," and then 2 days in a row you're kind of smacked in the face. I can get over. I think there is replacements for Edwin Diaz, and you already have a guy in Devin Williams. Although I don't think he's as good, you at least do have someone who can step into that role, and you still have an opportunity to build a strong bullpen. Where do you go from here? You know, I don't know that there's a place. Um, I don't know that there's a great idea or a great pivot at this point. I just don't. And I think that's the biggest issue. What is going on here? Well, for some reason, I can't even view the stream. So if there's people commenting, if there's people wanting to talk, I really have no idea at this point. I'm trying to get this fixed, but it's just not working. I might have to stop this and restart. I'm sorry. Or I might just make a video because this clearly is not working for me. This is the third time I've tried to do this and it's just not working. So um, the whole point here is to watch it with or to go over it with you guys and kind of go over some comments. All right, now I have it on stream. Okay. So we lose Diaz yesterday. I was sitting down, literally making a video yesterday when the Diaz news happened. I have now, I was making another video today when this news broke and talking about Alonso and if the Mets were really interested. And there was rumors that they were only willing to go 3 years and it seems like he got five and he was expecting to get the Schwarber contract. Um, or better, and he did. He got an extra $5 million. He went from 150 over 5 years to 155. But yeah, this is kind of a nightmare scenario at this point, and it's clear to me now that David Stearns is just looking to put his mark on this team. He's looking to make this his team. Remember, Pete Alonso was not brought in by David Stearns. Um, Brandon Nimmo wasn't brought in and given that contract by David Stearns. Edwin Diaz wasn't brought in and given that contract by Stearns. So let's face it. David Stearns is now running this team. He has his fingerprints all over it. Yeah, I'm not really sure I'm hoping that I can get some information on what the actual deal, or if the Mets even came close or offered anything, or did they just not really have much interest? I don't know. I mean, do you trade Lindor now? Is this a full rebuild? Is that what this is going to be, or is there a pivot to be made? Is there a chance that they maybe come out better on the other side after letting these guys go? I don't know. I can't really see that happening. Um, but yeah, maybe you just go full rebuild. Could be. Um, Pete Alonso, fan favorite, obviously a guy who is the Mets' all-time home run record. Not that that matters that much because it's not like their record is this well-respected big-time thing, but it is. He is an all-time fan favorite. He's one of the best Mets hitters of all time, and yeah, I don't know how to feel. I'm kind of in shock. I think because I didn't even though I expected that it was possible that he would be traded, or that he would be let go or not be retained by the Mets. I I I don't think I actually believed that it was going to happen. I think it was more of a thing where I kind of had it in the back of my mind that it might happen, but now that it actually has happened, I don't love it. I don't I don't know what the backup plan is here. I really think it's rebuild. It's yeah, I don't think we're having a good offseason at this point. And David Stearns can sit up there and smile his smug little smile and make everyone think that he's got something going on and he's got all these deals to be made. I just don't know. I can't trust it anymore. And I don't think this is an overreaction. I think this is a pretty normal reaction to basically losing a bunch of guys who have been here a long time. They haven't won anything, and I understand the need to rebuild. I do. I can understand the need to be rebuilt. They didn't win anything with the core of guys they had. So if you want to trade Nimmo and you want to get rid of Alonso and you want to, let Diaz walk, sure, I can get there with you. I can say like, okay, we could talk about it as long as there's a plan moving forward. And we'll have to wait and see if that plan comes to fruition. Are we getting Kyle Tucker? Are we getting Cody Bellinger? Are we going out and trading for Skubal? There is ways you can get better, I guess, without Pete Alonso and without the guys that they've had. But I just don't see it happening. I don't think. I just don't think so. You think so? You think Stearns is mad that Steve Cohen signed Soto? I don't know. I think that anyone would have loved to have Juan Soto on this team, and I think Juan Soto is maybe now just the centerpiece they want to build around. I just saw a tweet, and I don't know who it was. I scrolled off of it, but do they go all the way and trade Lindor now? Maybe. Maybe this is a full rebuild. Stearns every day, and I was talking about it in my video before that isn't going to come out now because half of it was about Pete Alonso. Are you know are is David Stearns just looking to play the kids? And is that what he's really trying to do? I think it's possible at this point. I think it's possible that he's just looking to bring up these minor leaguers. The Mets have high end minor league options. Is that just what they're gonna do? Maybe they'll go out and get a pitcher like Michael King and try to get you excited. Maybe pick up a Bellinger or someone like that and say like, we're gonna try to compete, and really all it is biding your time until those kids are ready to play and be at a high level. And I think you're right. I think we are in the middle of a rebuild and nobody told us. I mean, you're never going to get told necessarily that you're in a rebuild, although we did a couple of years ago when they said, when Max Scherzer left, but it was Max Scherzer. It was a player that told us. On his way out the door, he said, hey, they said they're probably not going to be that competitive next year, and it's probably going to be a couple of years before they really go for it. And we didn't necessarily believe him, but it kind of happened. It came to fruition. We had a great 2024, but that was wrapped with really bad seasons. So do we really think that we're in any different situation now? No. David Stearns is putting his mark on this team. That's what's happening right now. He really is. That's what we're going through right now. And at the end of the day, like, if that's the plan, just tell us that. Because I think a lot more people could get behind that. But Pete Alonso being gone, obviously right now without seeing what what the other offers were. I mean, I was way more concerned about the Red Sox, but this is how quickly these things come together, because you just heard this morning it started coming out the Mets were reluctant to go more than 3 years, and then we heard the Red Sox were interested at 5 years, and maybe they had an offer in at 5 years, and the Orioles were just kind of hanging back, waiting to see what the negotiation was going to look like. And it seems like they were comfortable going 5 years. Why are the Orioles and Red Sox comfortable going 5 years for Alonso, but the Mets aren't? Maybe, listen, the Orioles are a team that's a win now team because they have a lot of young players who are getting closer to maybe free agency, and their window's kind of dwindling because they're not going to be able to bring all those guys back. They also need pitching. Like, they're in a similar situation to the Mets. They think they can get enough offense, but they're not getting pitching. Um, yeah, this is a tough one because there's no world in the beginning of this offseason, there's no world in which I thought we were going to get worse this offseason. And right now, that's all they've done is get worse. Now, you could say Nimmo for Simeon. Is Simeon a good player? Sure, he could be. He could hit for some power. He's a really good defensive player. Could Nimmo for Simeon be technically a wash? Yeah. But bringing in Williams and letting Diaz walk isn't a wash. You lost there. And then now letting Pete Alonso go when we don't even know what the replacement is going to be, or if there will be a replacement. Are we back to Mark Vientos and Brandon or Jeff McNeil splitting time at first base? I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy to me. I don't really get it. Um, they're kind of speechless at this point. Yeah, I agree with you that you never know what the kids are going to be. I'm not necessarily talking about Vady and Vientos and Acuna. I'm talking more about Benj and Jet Williams and the pitchers that they think highly of. Um, they think very highly of those prospects, and they probably have higher ceilings than the guys that are currently there. I agree with you. They should have brought back Pete Alonso. But I do think that there would have been some appetite for a rebuild or at least a retooling, which it might still be what they're doing, right? If you're letting Alonso and Diaz and Nimmo go, yeah, maybe you're retooling, maybe you're replacing those guys in the lineup this season. But I don't know how you replace Pete Alonso. He was the one guy that I was like, you can replace Nimmo's bat, and you can get someone who plays better defense. Cody Bellinger is a better bat and plays better defense, or at least the same bat and better defense. You can replace, you know, a lot of things on this team. You can even replace the pitching. There's guys that you can go out there and get. But Pete Alonso was a guy that you're not replacing his power. The only guy that you could have done that with was Schwarber. And it seems like the Mets did make a big last minute pitch for Schwarber. They went out and offered him 3 years, 120 million, so more AAV than what the Phillies offered. But I just they're not willing to go for it. Like you said, they have no backbone. David Stearns does not have a backbone. He's looking for players to fall to him. In New York, you have to be aggressive. If you're shopping at the top of markets, you have to be aggressive. You can't just sit back and wait for things to fall to you because they're not going to. He's never been a guy who's really shopped in free agency before. He's always looked for deals. So that's the only way he knows. Maybe this is all part of the plan. That's what I keep going back to. It's possible that this was always going to be what they do. Maybe they were always planning on letting Diaz and Alonso walk. And we saw that, even the offer, I was going over a lot of the reports about Diaz yesterday, and the offer, oh, it's so close. It's only $3 million different. But if you look at what Anthony DiComo said, it wasn't. According to Diaz's camp, yes, on paper it looks like it's very close, but it actually wasn't as close as it looked. And then you heard John Harper on Twitter, he put out there like, hey, is it possible that David Stearns wanted to look good in this negotiation, so he offered similar money just to be the second pick. He offered enough to make it look like he was making a big run when he really wasn't, and he was just kind of making it look like he did to grab the headlines. He didn't want the headlines to be David Stearns cheaped out again, so he needed to at least look like he was making an effort when he really wasn't. I don't think so. I don't think Cohen. I think I think Cohen might be a little embarrassed right now, knowing that he's got all this stuff in the works, and a rich guy like him doesn't want to lose. So maybe David Stern sold him the idea of, hey, if we just lose for 1 year, we can cut a lot of salary and we can really be open to spending a lot of money next year. Well, after next year, you don't know if there's going to be baseball. You don't know how long baseball is going to be going on. They could be locked out for a season or two. Maybe that goes into the calculus here, right? Do they think, well, if we spend all this money this offseason, we don't know what the rules are going to look like in 2027 and 2028. So let's not go crazy this offseason. But you have to go for it. When you have a collapse like you did last year, and you have an owner who's, just exploding with money, and you play in the biggest market, I just don't. I don't know how you can ever really punt a season, especially after you've just punted a couple seasons. Like, you knew that 23 and 24, you basically came out and said you were punting those seasons. And 2024 ended up being something that exploded, right? And then you have the collapse in 2025. How many times are you going to punt it? This isn't the NFL when you have a salary cap and you have to punt, and if you don't have a quarterback, you have to kind of tank. This is Major League Baseball. You can go out and look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't care about budgets. The Dodgers don't care about money. The Dodgers make a lot of money, so maybe they can be like that. But honestly, like, what are we doing? This isn't what we were promised with Steve Cohen. It's not. This isn't what we thought we were getting with Steve Cohen. We thought we were getting a guy who was going to be the next coming of a George Steinbrenner, who was going to win at all costs and spend what it took to win. So, I don't know. I was even talking about, in my video that I was making before I got gut punched here, um, how David Stearns maybe needs to look into how he negotiates with players. I think his approach works great if you're going after a free agent who doesn't know your organization. He's very analytical, very methodical. He's going to call people, get all the information he can. He is going to give that player as much information about the organization as he can to make a decision to come to the Mets. He's going to look like the smartest guy in the room to a potential free agent. But when it comes to your own players, they kind of know you're full of shit. Like, they're not gonna take what you have to say seriously because they're in the situation. And what they're looking for is maybe for you to go the extra mile for them, and maybe for you to say, hey, we appreciate what you've done here for the last 7 years of your life or 10 years of your life, so we're going to add an extra year on that contract. Yeah, they have 5 years. How about we go four? How about, we might not want to go five, but we were at three. We'll go four and give you higher AAV. Would that work? Oh, no? Okay, well, we'll think about going five. Like, he doesn't show the love to these guys. He doesn't have that personal touch, and I think that's the biggest issue here. Yeah, I agree. I can't stand sometimes looking at David Stearns when he talks. That look on his face, like he's the smartest guy in the room. Listen, he's probably a lot smarter than me. The dude went to Harvard. I get it. You're smart, but there's nothing behind it, right? You could be as brilliant as you want and be as analytical and all that as you want. Sometimes you just have to go with what looks right or what feels right. And this is not one of those things. Listen, anyone who's happy today, and there will be a few because there's a lot of Mets fans who were just kind of over Alonso, and I don't know how you could be because I don't know how you're replacing his bat now. But there's a lot of Mets fans who are probably happy right now. I've interacted with some of them. They're very happy that Alonso's gone, I'm sure. But 90% of the fan base here, even if you were fine moving on from Alonso, after this offseason and this terrible winter meetings that we've seen so far, there's no way you can be happy about the potential of what you're moving forward with. You just can't be. And I was excited about the winter meetings. I thought the Mets were going to be adding. I thought the Mets were were going to be talking about trading for some pitchers and maybe signing Cody Bellinger or something big for them to add. And they still can. There's a day and a half left. Sure. Can they go make an addition? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like they're subtracting. They're not really adding at this point. So, Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna go look on Twitter. I'm gonna see if there's any update on a Mets final offer because you know you'll see that at some point. The Mets final offer was 3 years, $90 million, or 3 years, $100 million. The Mets, okay, Will Salmon, 12 minutes ago. I didn't even see this. The Mets did not make an offer to Pete Alonso before he agreed to Orioles deal. So he didn't even make him an offer. That's interesting. Now, did he not make him an offer because he was expecting him to come back and say, here's the deal that I'm going to sign? Would you match it? And Pete Alonso didn't? Maybe. But, yeah, that's kind of crazy if they didn't actually make him an offer. Or maybe they just said, there's no way we're getting him. There's no way he's signing for 3 years, so let's just not even make an offer. They didn't want him back. Apparently, they didn't even offer him 3 years. Apparently, they did not make him an offer. If that's the case, then that's against everything that Stearns has said, that he wants Pete Alonso back, and they know how they feel about him, and it just he's lying. He's a liar at that point. Just tell the truth, man. Just say you didn't want him back. Or I know you can't say that because you can't say that out loud. It's just not right and proper to do because you want the guy to get a contract and you don't want to just say like I'm out, and you want his agent to be able to negotiate and all that. I get it. But be honest and say, "Hey, listen, we're kind of in a rebuild thing here. If it makes sense with Pete, we'll bring him back. If it makes sense with Edwin, we'll bring him back. But honestly, we're probably rebuilding because that's what or at least retooling." Hold on, I gotta get my charger. I gotta be honest, I was so much more interested in talking to or doing a live or doing a video about some positive news. And it's funny, I got accused yesterday, I don't know, someone, maybe you're watching now, of being emotionally unstable in my Edwin Diaz video. Guys, if you're not a little bit emotionally unstable with watching sports, or it doesn't make you emote in some way, why are you watching sports? Like, there's no point. Like, you can't. I'm sorry, I'm not like David Stearns. I can't just be analytical about everything. Sports is passion. It's all that kind of stuff. And losing Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso back to back days, that's terrible. And anyone who's acting rationally right now, and who's happy about it, I don't know what to tell you because there's no way to really act rationally right now and be happy about this, or be like, it's fine, guys, we'll be all right. Trust David Stearns. The David Stearns meat riding train is over, especially with me. You're not going to see me talking great about David Stearns until he wins something, until he does something. All he's done this so far this offseason is subtract. I'm not one of those people who's been against Stearns. I've actually been a Stearns apologist in a lot of ways. And he still could win me back, but he has to go out and fix the team. He has to go out and have a big offseason and win something. That's the only way he gets a pass from me for this. Because if you want to tell me Pete Alonso isn't the right move, then tell me why, and then make the right move. That's it. The off season's not over. They can still get better, but I don't know how you get better losing a bat like Alonso. And I think before in the beginning of the off season, I was saying Edwin Diaz was more important to this team than Pete Alonso. And as it went along, I didn't feel that way. Like, could I have seen the Mets go out and get Kyle Schwarber and then you replace the bat in the lineup? I still think it's a little uneven because then what are you going to bat? Soto, Schwarber back to back, your two best hitters batting lefty. I thought you needed a right-handed bat, and I thought Alonso was the guy to do it. But I could consider at the beginning of the offseason, oh yeah, there's other options besides Alonso. Maybe you get Schwarber, maybe you get Bellinger, and I think you get better. But then you're very left-handed. Now, where do we go? What's the move? Now, there's moves. But you're not going to get the power bat that Alonso has. You're just not. It doesn't exist in the market right now. Now, could there be a trade that I don't know anything about, and they're working on it, and they're going to go out and get, who's a better slugger than Alonso. Who's a better power bat than Alonso? Doesn't exist. I mean, it does, but not that's available. Sure, you can go out and get Shohei Ohtani. He's not available. So, I don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to be live for here. I think it's really, really interesting that the Mets apparently didn't make him an offer. How much do you want the guy back if you don't make him an offer? Jeff McNeil is now the longest tenured Met, by the way. Jeff McNeil, who's also probably going to be traded. Oh no, he probably won't be traded. You know why? Because David Stearns loves him, and he talks about him like he's so versatile, and he could play left field, and he could play first base, and he could play second base. The dude sucks. You're gonna let Pete Alonso go and have McNeil play first base and left field? Like, come on. This is small market team stuff. Letting your superstar walk away, and he's not a superstar. Let me cut back on that. Pete Alonso is a high-end power bat. He's not Juan Soto. He's not Aaron Judge. He's not Shohei Ohtani. But he's in that next level of players. I know that's what I'm really concerned about here. That he's just going to make David Stearns moves. And I think Cohen's going to have to step in. Well, Stearns did the thing about Stearns is I think why people were excited about him, and I was too. He was able to win divisions. He was able to make the playoffs with a shoestring budget, and he was able to make good moves, good under the radar type of moves, and I think we got excited because that mixed with the money he can now spend sounds good because you can go out and get the big superstar and then fill in your holes with maybe some good low profile deals that end up paying off in the end. But that hasn't really happened. In 2024 he got kind of lucky. Minaya had a career year. Severino bounced back in a big way after being on the Yankees and being really bad for a while. He bounced back in a big way. And then he kind of re-signed the wrong one. Now, I wouldn't have given Severino the contract that he got, and he wasn't very good last year, but, Minaya was terrible. And Severino ended up not being great, but better than Minaya. At least he's an innings eater. He's a guy who throws and goes every 5 days. And then this last year, Montas and all that garbage. Griffin Canning, who was great. Listen, Griffin Canning could have been a big hit for David Stearns last year, but he got hurt. And he was also declining a little bit. We talk about Griffin Canning as if he was some superstar. He was great, but he was pitching 4 innings, 5 innings. He wasn't giving you length. Could he eventually have started pitching deeper into games? Sure, maybe a little bit. But Griffin Canning was a good signing by Stearns. But think of all these people that he's brought in. Juan Soto is the big name, obviously. Who else? Who else has he brought here? All he's done is subtract. I don't think Soto's honestly a problem. I think the thing with Soto, and I'm not in the clubhouse, so don't accuse me of knowing anything because I don't, but just my sense from everything you see is that he's just kind of a solo guy. Like he's always been a mercenary his whole career. He never really got to know people in Washington because he knew he probably wasn't there forever. And then he left there and went to San Diego and didn't really get along with Machado. And it's tough when you're Juan Soto and you're supposed to be the guy and you come to San Diego where Machado is and where Tatis is and you have to kind of mix in, right? And then he went to the Yankees and I think he was great with the Yankees because Judge was clearly the guy. Like Judge is the captain. He's the one who runs that clubhouse. And he didn't have to be the go-to guy. He didn't have to be the mentor, or he's not interested in any of that. And I think when he came to the Mets, so Lindor is very outgoing and maybe tried to get him to be more involved with the team. It didn't happen. Maybe there was some tension there, but it seems like they're fine. Like, I think all the clubhouse stuff, and maybe I'm wrong because all these players are trying to get out of town. Maybe it is a bigger deal than we thought, but I just don't see it. I don't see Soto as being a clubhouse issue. I think he's just a solo guy, and I think that might rub some people the wrong way, at least at first. I mean, you heard the stories even when he was with the Yankees. Like, he wasn't going to team dinners. He wasn't hanging out after the game. In San Diego, he didn't get along with Machado. So or at least that's the rumor. So I don't. I just think he's a different type of personality. He comes in, he does his job, and he goes home. He's not interested in being friends. He just wants to win games. That's all he cares about. He cares about his family and winning games and making a lot of money because he cared about that too. I just still can't believe, and I don't even know if it's true. I only saw it once that the Mets did not make an offer for Pete Alonso. If you're here, by the way, and you're not subscribed, please do so. I don't go live very often. This is kind of new for me. I think I've gone live a total of 4 or 5 times, but I do put out regular content, at least 3 times a week usually, just videos, my thoughts on what's going on with the team. It's obviously a terrible day to be a Mets fan. Terrible 48 hours. You lose your closer and your first baseman. I just don't get it. This wasn't supposed to happen. Let me troll through Twitter again, see if there's any new info. I mean, they're just punting the season. They have to be. I gotta say, I'm actually by where he went, I'm fine with Alonso going to the Orioles. He's not in our face. If he would have gone to the Red Sox, even, I think I would have been a little more upset. I'm in Connecticut, so I see a lot of Red Sox stuff. A lot of Red Sox fans around me, so I would hate if he went to Boston. I just don't think it would be great for me. I'm fine with him being in Baltimore. Like, I don't know. You're going from one bad situation to another. If you're Pete, listen, he just wanted the most money. And that's fine. Pete Alonso, I have no issue with Pete Alonso here. And I don't think anyone should. I don't think there's a single person who should have a problem with Pete leaving, especially if it's true that they didn't offer him a deal. What did you want him to do? They screwed with him last year, tried to undercut him all off season long, and then this season they didn't even make an offer. So you have no gripe with Pete Alonso here. I wish Pete Alonso nothing but the best. I hope he goes there and hits 70 home runs next year and makes David Stearns look like a complete idiot. I really do. I hope he hits 500 home runs and makes the Hall of Fame. I have no problem with Pete Alonso. My problem right now is with David Stearns and the Mets front office. Unless they turn it around. I keep having to say that. I guess that's the thing, right? You have to look at the offseason as a whole. I'm not going to sit here and be all bummed about Pete Alonso leaving. I am. I'm upset that he left. I'm upset that he's gone, but I'll be really upset if at the end of the offseason they haven't replaced him. That's my big thing right now. I don't know. No new news coming out. I'm probably going to get out of here in a minute. I just kind of wanted to hop on and see how people were feeling. Let me know. Let me know how you feel. Obviously not good. It's by the way, it's 2 incredibly unpopular moves in a row. And this is a Band-Aid ripping situation. I was talking about it in my video. This is the year I think David Stearns is going to rip the Band-Aid off. And it's really a screw you to all the fans. Citi Field isn't going to be packed next year. People aren't going to be happy wearing their Alonso jerseys. Like, you got to do something. Steve Cohen's got to step in. And I don't think he's going to. I think that's the thing, especially now with Steve Cohen, maybe with the casino, maybe he's got more things going on. Maybe he's not going to be involved as much. And I know he doesn't want to be involved very much. And like I've said 5 times now already, if this was going to be a rebuild, let us know. Instead of getting our hopes up that we're doing all this stuff at the winter meetings and then just have us get shredded. Now, I think the Edwin Diaz situation might have been a little bit different because from what you're hearing, the Mets kind of felt sucker punched in that one. They kind of felt like they were still negotiating and he just said, no, screw you, I'm going to the Dodgers. And if that's the case, there might not have been much they can do. But they didn't make him an offer. They didn't make Pete Alonso an offer. Crazy. And it might be that they had a situation like with Nimmo a few years ago when they said, go get your best offer, come back to us, and we'll match it. Or we'll see if we can match it. And maybe Pete Alonso didn't feel like doing that. I wouldn't either. I'd feel completely disrespected if I'm Pete Alonso, and I'm your franchise all-time home run leader. I'm one of the best power hitters in the game, and you don't even make me an offer? That's sorry, that is beyond anything I've seen. Like terrible, 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 terrible. You can't be that far off on what the guy wants. You just can't. The other thing too is we were coming off such good vibes. Like 2024, I know it's a long time ago now. It's a whole year, a year and a half basically ago. But there was great vibes in 2024. Everything looked good. You had Soto, the vibes are even higher. The beginning of 2025, you're the best team in baseball. You have the best record in baseball. And then it just falls apart. And now everyone's gone. All those guys that you loved are gone. Which I get, baseball's a business, but you just got rid of three of the most popular players in the span of a week and a half, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is, whenever Nimmo was traded. Just awful. It's an awful day to be a Mets fan. It's embarrassing. We didn't think we were in this position. We were making fun of Yankee fans just a few days ago that they weren't going to spend any money this offseason, that their owner was broke and he was crying broke and wanted a salary cap. We were gloating. And then this happens. And now are the Mets broke? Do they not want to spend money? I don't know. You can't make fun of anyone else anymore. You can't say King Cohen. You can't say, I'm sorry, Sal Licata. You can't walk around with the crown and say King Cohen. He's not King Cohen if you can't keep your own players. You're just not. And I'm sure there's some fans that are happy about this. I don't know how you could be, but there are. Just don't get it. There's no news that I'm seeing. It's just people whining and crying like I am. Not crying that much. But anyway, this is uh, just a terrible, terrible day. And I don't know what else to say. I just think it was a good way to come on here and vent. I'm sure we'll find out more information in the coming hours and coming days about how it was toxic and Pete Alonso wanted nothing to do with the Mets and their clubhouse was terrible. And we'll get all those stories because people love to write them. And I'm starting to believe they're true. Everyone wants out. And I don't put this on Alonso, but I do put it on David Stearns and the Mets organization. And that's really all I got. We'll talk more about this. I'll probably put out another video either later tonight or tomorrow, just giving not my initial reaction, but kind of my maybe well thought out reaction and what I think they could do next. Yeah, just wanted to come on here and vent. Hopefully everyone has a good day and it goes better for you than it has so far. And yeah, until next time, let's go Mets.